Shalom, shalom to the 12 tribes of Yasharala that are scattered to the four corners of the world. I am back with another video. In this video, we will continue to discuss the names Yashu as well as Yahu that are rooted in the Tetragrammaton. And that a lot of these names are being worshipped not only in the Christian church, but in the Jews of Israel worship this name, and now the Yashuralites that are coming into the truth, there are camps that are worshiping these names, and we're just going to get into discussing the origin of these names. So I will share my screen at this time. All right, so I read a little from this on last week. This discusses the origins of Yahweh. So I want to focus on this figure here, which it says early Iron Age bull figurine from bull site at Darat et Tawa, I'm sorry, Dawat et Twale, modern Western Bank or ancient Ephraim, representing El, Baal or Yahweh. So this is the ancient bull figurine, and we know who the Bible says that the bull god is, Molech. And I will read here where it says the Iron Age. It discusses the Iron Age from 1200 to 1000 BCE. The Iron Age corresponds automatically to the Judges period of the Bible. During this period, Yasharala was a confederation of tribes, each of which was by then a territorial entity with boundaries and rights. Although the biblical account draws a clearer distinction between the Israelites and the Canaanites of this period, and this was followed in early scholarship, the modern consensus is that there was no distinction in language or material culture between these groups. Scholars accordingly define Israelite culture as a subset of the Canaanite culture. Once again, scholars accordingly define Israelite culture as a subset of the Canaanite culture. Yahweh was originally described as one of the sons of El in Deuteronomy 32, verses 8 through 9, but this was removed by a later emendation to the text. With the notable exception of Yahweh himself, the deities worshipped by Israel were also Canaanite. These included El, under the ruler of the pantheon, Ashtoreth, his concord, and Baal. Okay, so remember what we discussed Israel meant. Israel means Isis or Ishtar or Ashereth or Diana, Semiramis, Columbia, all these different names that she has. Ra is Baal or Amon Ra, and El is Elohim or El Shaddai. These are Canaanite deities that the children, the current children that say they are the children of Israel, that's who they are. These are their gods. This is who they worship. It says that this was in Deuteronomy 32, verses 8 through 9, but they later removed it. They later amended that text and removed it out of there. But and this goes back to when our forefather Moses was getting the Ten Commandments on the top, on the mountaintop from the Most High. The children of Yasharala were down on the bottom building this golden calf from all their jewelry. And they began to worship him by singing, by dancing, by burning offerings to him. And so this was the Canaanite God. This has never been the Most High, the God of the children of Yasharallah. This was the idolatrous God that we turn to. And there's nothing new under the sun, as the Bible says. So now I'm going to Morals and Dogma, written by the 33rd degree Freemason Albert Pike. We discussed some things from this his book on last week. Once again, this is a 621 page book that I downloaded the PDF. You can purchase the hard copy should you choose to, but there's just a lot of secrets that are revealed in this book. But I wanted to focus on this particular verse here on page 456. And if you all don't know, these people are the occult is into numerology. They're into what they call gematria, where every letter has a number, and they use the ancient geometry, which is the basis for the Metatron. It's built on ancient geometry. It has every shape and figure inside of it. It has the 5-pointed star, the 6-pointed star, the hexagram, the triangle, the circle, the cube, all of these shapes that are rooted in ancient geometry are encompassed in that Metatron that they gave us in the name Yeshua. All right, let's keep going. So it says here, a 4 was a divine number. It referred to the deity, and many ancient nations gave God a name of 4 letters, as the Hebrews, the Yod, Hey, Wah, the Egyptians, Amun or Amen, which is Ra, the Persians, Surah, the Greeks, the Omega, the Latins, Deus. This is the Tetragrammaton of the Hebrews, and the Pythagoreans called it the Tetris and swore their most solemn oath by it. So to Odin amongst the Scandinavians, Zeye amongst the Greeks, Phta amongst the Egyptians, Thoth amongst the Phoenicians, and Assur and Nebo amongst the Assyrians. The list might be indefinitely extended. So he's letting us know that, this is just an encompass of names that throughout the world that the Tetragrammaton is known by, but this might be an indefinite list, that there are other names that can be also added. But once again, this goes back to the Yasharites only had one God, and the world worshiped Satan and knew he was the God that was known by many names. Ahayah has one name. Okay. So this book is called The Secret Doctrine by H.P. Blavatsky. She also is a highly occult Freemason witch that wrote a lot of secrets in their books or whatnot. But I wanted to focus on this particular verse here, the one. and the dragon are expressions used by the ancients in connection with their respective logi. Jehovah Esther, I'm sorry, es esoterically as Elohim is also the serpent or the dragon that tempted Eve. And the dragon is an old glimpse for astral light, the primordial principle, which is the wisdom of chaos. So that's who she is saying who Jehovah or who the Tetragrammaton is. Let's keep going. All right, so this is, I just went on Wikipedia here and I want to show you all that I actually tried to type in Yahoo, Yahu. And when I tried to type in Yahoo, it redirected me to Yahweh. See here, it says redirect from Yahoo. Um, and if we go into Yahweh, it goes back to that tetragrammaton. This was an article that I came across on churchunity.net, and I just thought this was pretty good. It says Yahoo in the Hebrew scriptures, 14th century BC, the mistaken name of God. So the mistaken name of God, Yahoo, is written, and then it shows the Hebrew, how you write it in Hebrew, which is just says the Yod Hey Wah. And so in Greek, it shows how it is written. It is the lowercase Greek letter omega. The Y sound in Yahoo comes from the Greek letter iota, and there is no H in Greek. So we simply know how it's pronounced from the Hebrew. This name seems to have come from the confusion over God's statement, my name is in him, referring to Yehoshua or Joshua, the name that became Jesus in the Greek. It appears that Jehoshua was interpreted Yahoo saves. The normal method for forming the Hebrew names is to use the three character roots of Hebrew, Yehoshua, and was seen as a combination of three character roots, Yeho or Yahu and Shua. The grandson of Moses, the priest of Dan, that set up an idol, was the first to use Yahu, the Yahu prefix in his name. He was called Yahu Nathan, meaning Yahu has given. But I'm going to just jump down here. It talks about King Saul. So Yah or Yah saves or Yahoo saves. This says Saul's son Jonathan, Yevil has given to Yahoo has given. So Saul's son Ishbaal means man of Baal, and Yehonathan or Yahunathan. King Saul's Israel first king named one of his sons Ishbaal in First Chronicles 8:33 and 9:39, meaning man of Baal. And he named another son Yehonathan, meaning Yahoo has given. It's a bit shocking that one of the king's son used the name of a foreign god, and another was named after the priest that cared for the idol of Dan. In the past, the Israelites only used the name YHVH in their surnames. Perhaps this was God, what God meant when he said their fathers forgot my name for Baal in Jeremiah 23 and 27. Ishbaal was the first king over the north of over northern Israel. Within 100 years, northern Israel was overtaken by the worship of Baal. So, um, hold on, I'm gonna stop sharing for 1 second. So we know that the children of Yasharallah were ensnared with idol worship. And so this verse, if you read King Saul, it's a verse where he says that he actually says that gave he actually says that he gave Israel their God. Like he did not when he referred to Ahayah, he didn't call Ahayah his God. He said your God. Like I gave you your God um in one of the scriptures, and this is going further into discussing him giving his children these names after pagan idols, but then also um I kind of lost my train of thought here for a minute, y'all. 1 second. Okay, so and also like the children of Dan, remember Dan was replaced. Dan was removed from the 12 tribes because they got so heavy and deep into idol worship. Um, they were removed from the 12 tribes and they were replaced with Ephraim and Manasseh, Joseph, two sons. So I'll link this article for you all to read it in its entirety, but it still has the paganism, about JC. But if you can move past that, there's a lot to glean from um from that article. So I'll keep going. And y'all forgive me if you all hear these dogs barking. My husband decided to take the dogs out just as I began to make the video. So they're ready to be fed and they're just barking and whatnot. So here, um the Merriam-Webster dictionary, it says here that Yahoo is Yahweh. Yahoo is the Tetragrammaton. But I find this interesting. When you type in Yahoo spelled that way, it automatically gives you Yahoo. The name Yahoo as in Yahoo Mail. And now let's read this here. It says the original incarnation of Yahoo Inc. was an American multinational technology company headquartered in Sunnyvale, California. Yahoo was founded by Jerry Yang and David Philo in January of 1994 and was incorporated on March 2nd, 1995. Yahoo is one of the pioneers of the early internet era in the 1990s. All right, so I want you all to focus on where it says the original incarnation of Yahoo. They could have used any word. The original origins of Yahoo, or Yahoo was founded, but they said the original incarnation. And when we look up the word incarnation, the definition says a person who embodies in a fleshly, I'm sorry, a person who embodies in the flesh, a deity, a spirit, or an abstract quality. That is the definition for incarnation. It says here, incarnation literally means embodied in flesh or taken on flesh. But let me ask you all this. Do you know that AI or this technology can be embodied by deities? Let's talk about who gave us the technology. You know, the book of Enoch tells us who gave us the technology, where it came from. The technology came from the fallen. They're the ones that gave us this forbidden technology. So they gave it to us as a snare. And the Bible tells us to be aware of Satan and his devices, and they call these things devices. They call it what it is. So, you know, they're the ones that brought the television, the lie vision, or these are portals. These are portals. Spirits can transfer. They can transfer through electricity. They And these are portals. So when you watch television and you're allowing these portals into your home, they bring in this energy. And these movies and these shows that we watch for entertainment has spirits behind them. The phone, these are portals. When you the websites, when you www, that's 666. The web portals. That's why it's called a web portal. These are portals that the enemy uses to teleport. These spirits use them to teleport and to gain access into our homes. We have to let them in. They have to be invited in. And so I'm going somewhere. I'm going somewhere I didn't even mean to go. But yeah, they have to be when you are a child of the Most High, they have to be invited in. And we don't realize that we invite them in and we let them in, not only to our physical homes, but into our temples. They come in through the eye gates, the ear gates, our sense of taste, our mouth gates, our sense of smell, our hands, and our sexual gates. Those are the gates that the enemy comes into this temple in, but he comes into our homes through what we allow in through the computer, through our cell phones, through our through this technology, through what we watch on the television. And I'm gonna go ahead. I didn't even mean to go there so quite early, but since I'm talking about it, I'm going to show you all these pictures. This is when you're watching a movie, Columbia, this the light bearer, the Statue of Liberty, Semiramis, Ishtar, Isis, Ashtoreth, Diana, all these names that she has. A lot of movies that we watch, this comes on up front. We are in the District of Columbia. The District of Columbia runs this nation. They're saying that this is her nation, the District of Columbia. America is ran by that district, although that district is not a part of the United States. Although that district has its own flag and um its own constitution, it runs this nation. And there are many Columbia or ISIS set up throughout the world, even though she was supposed to symbolize the freedom or liberty of America. She's in China, she's in Tokyo in Japan, she's in all these different countries. This is Orion. When the movie comes on and talks about Orion, and remember, I read showing you all where Mars became Nergal, but Orion the constellation Orion became Tammuz. So all of these deities actually are the reincarnation or the incarnation of the celestial beings. That's what it's all rooted in. DreamWorks. DreamWorks. The fisherman of men here. Dagon, the fish god, which also goes back to Tammuz. Saturn Films. Saturn. We know who that is. We remember we read something about Saturn being Satan. And then I showed you all these pictures of the celebrities with their Saturn jewelry on or their Saturn tattoos. Black Box Productions. The Black Box, the Cube, the Abrahamic religions, the Black Box, that cobblestone um that's over in Palestine that has the meteorite inside the is that is the root of Islam and also the root of Kabbalah. Remember, the Ishmaelites worship Allah and they have the Kabbalah stone that they pray to daily and they walk around daily. Kaaba and Allah, Kabbalah, um, is just rooted in that. So I was saving that towards the end, but since I kind of got on the subject of it, I just went ahead and went there earlier. So let me stop sharing for 1 second and I'm going to go ahead and delete that so that I can move on. All right. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again. So now we're going to discuss Yeshua once again. This is from the MessianicBible.com. Let's go up so you all can see it for yourselves. It's free, the MessianicBible.com. And I just sent it, I typed in Yeshua and it says the controversy over the name Yeshua. But let me go down here. This paragraph says, why Jewish people call him Yeshua? The Talmudic rabbinic teachings mentions the name Yeshua only once in reference to Yeshua ben Jazadok, whom we mentioned above. All other instances of the name Joshua or are Yehoshua, although the name for one man, Yeshua of Nazareth, is rendered Yeshua. It has been said that the name is actually an acronym for the Hebrew phrase Yamak Shemo Vixarono. May his name and memory be blotted out, although some have suggested that it is the Galilean form of Yeshua. Most Jews are unaware of the potentially derogatory origin, and for this reason, they commonly refer to Yeshua as Yeshua, as if that were his true name. For the most part, even the Israeli media use Yeshua to refer to Yeshua, although in rare cases he will be called by his proper name. His full name in secular Hebrew is Yeshua Nazuri, meaning Jesus of the Nazarene, is what they say. But this is from the MessianicBible.com telling us that the name Yeshua is actually an acronym for the Hebrew phrase Yamat Shemo, may his name be blotted out. and I've been saying that for months. Now, what I'm going to do is go to acronym finder. You all can type this in for yourself, acronymfinder.com. I went in there and just typed in Yeshua. And it says here, what does Yeshua stand for? Yeshua stands for Yamak Shemo, meaning with Vizikro, meaning may his name and memory be obliterated. This is in the acronym finder .com that gives you the definition of any acronym that you type in. Now we're going to go to Strong's. We know that names are important. We know that names are important. Every name has a meaning, and actually, when you call upon a name, you're actually speaking, or it's kind of prophetic, because you can take a child and speak over that child and keep calling them that name, and they grow up to be that. Moses' name means to draw out. He not only was drawn out of the water by Pharaoh's daughter, but he drew Israel out of bondage. He was the tool that was used for that. So that's just one description of the name. And we know that children previously would be born, it could go for weeks without a name, while the parents sought the Most High as what to call that child. And people have actually given their child the wrong name and had to go back and change that name, because the Most High will later say, like, that's not their name. But if we look up the name Shua, H7769 Shua, it means a hollow cry or riches. A hollow cry or riches, and hollow means holler, or scream or cry out, and riches. And it is rooted. The root for Shua is 7768. And first of all, our power does not care about the riches and the wealth of this world, but there is a God that does, that offers riches to those who will serve him. So we see that the root is 7768, which is Shavah, the primitive root, properly to be free, but used causatively and reflexively to hollow for help, i.e. freedom and some trouble. So to cry out or scream or holler for help, to cry aloud or to shout. And actually I looked up the word hollow in just in the dictionary, and it says to holler, to cry out, and to scream or to shriek. And then it gave an example of a person crying out, yippee, and it used that in a sentence. But also, I want you all to think about something else. Yahoo! When this name Yahoo is, when Yahoo is cried out, and Yahshua is based in that name. It encompasses that name. The same way that Ahayah and Yashaya's name are one and the same. Yashua and Yahoo also have that similar meaning. So now I am going to play this again.
A 2,000-year history of animosity and persecution, sadly, in the name of Christ and Christianity. But as a result of that, and the sage's decision to reject Jesus as the Messiah, he became a curse word in Judaism. He became the unkosher thing that the Christians embrace, but representing to the Jewish community pain and suffering and persecution. Even the name of Yeshua, Yeshu, is a cursed one.
Yeah. Wait, so
constantly appears.
the word Yeshu?
Yeshua is Imach Shmo V'Zichro. May his name be blotted for eternity, blotted out for eternity.
Is that what it means?
Literally, that's what it's named, of course.
Most Jews don't connect Yeshu and understand that, right?
No, I tell you, for me as an Israeli, every Jew know that Yeshua is Imach Shmo V'Zichro. It is his name now. Please understand. This is the name our people know him as by.
Okay, so once again, he says there is not a Jew that does not know what that name entails. And then once again, I'm going to play this clip from this Jewish rabbi doing a altar call.
It was not Rabbi Menachem Schneerson who was the Metatron. It is Rabbi Yeshua Bar Yosef Minaseret, the one the Gentiles called Jesus. For he is the Metatron. My dear Jewish friends, if you're watching this video or listening to this tape, or perhaps if you're here tonight, you ask the God of your fathers for his salvation from the Metatron. Call us, contact us, write us, stay after this meeting and talk to us. I want to introduce you to the best Jew you could ever meet, the Metatron. Adonai Yivadechem, Laila Tov. God bless and good night.
So we have, you know, there's just so much. There's so much that we have been deceived with. One moment. All right, let's keep going. Sorry for that interruption. I had to stop for one moment. All right, so this is the Hebrew translator. It's called doitinhebrew.com. So all I did was pull up doitinhebrew.com and type in the word shoe. And it says here that shoe may be a foreign word for rat, mouse, or rodent in Chinese. And you know, y'all know, like these people know the origin or the root of that name. So for them to refer to a rat, mouse, or rodent as shoe, they know that they're actually insulting the Most High with that name. But then also here it says Shu is an Egyptian deity. Shu is an Egyptian deity, and this is on the Hebrew translator, doitinhebrew.com. And we go to that Egyptian deity, Shu, Yashu, who is known, he represented the illumination of the primordial darkness. He separated day and night, supposedly. But you know, he means his name Shu is the root word for dry, parched, withered, sunlight, empty, and also he who rises up. The angel that rises from the bottomless pit in Revelations 9 and 11. That is all that you know, this stuff is about. Once again, this is worldhistory.edu, and more information on Shu. Shu was an Egyptian god revered for his control of the air, the wind, and lions, typically depicted in the human form holding the Ankh symbol. Shu is one of the first gods created by the creator, the sun god, Atum Ra or Amon Ra in ancient Egyptian mythology. As the god of the air, he was the deity who kept the earth and the sky from touching one another. So we know that he is shown to have pillars. There's some different facts about Shu. I'll just along with his family tree and other names that he goes by. Once again, I'll have that information linked below. But I wanted to talk about the prince of this world. Okay. So this is Ephesians 2. Ephesians 2, verse 2 says, in which you formerly walked according to the course of this world, according to the ruler of the power of the air, the spirit that is now working in the son of disobedience. But if you go to this particular, the TLB version, it says you went along with the crowd and were just like the others, full of sin, obeying Satan, the mighty prince of the power of the air, who is at work right now in the hearts of those who are against the Lord. Okay, so who is the prince of the power of the air? Is Shu. Shu is the prince of the air. He is the prince of the power of the air. He is the prince of this world. He is the fresh prince of Bel Air. Bel. He is the prince of Bel Air. They show us in all, once again, in all the shows that we watch, all the movies that we watch, they show us, they tell us, but it goes right over us. But the prince of Bel Air is Shu. And this is more information about Shu, who is the holder of the sky, the god of the air, the wind, the sunlight, and protection. Remember when Christ said, the prince of this world cometh, here it is. John 14 and 30. Okay, so let me stop sharing for 1 second. I'm going to read John 12 and 31, John 14 and 30, John 16 and 11. 12 and 31 reads, now this is the judgment of this world. Now shall the prince of this world be cast out. John 14 and 30. John 14 and 30 reads, hereafter I will not talk much with you, for the prince of this world cometh, and he has nothing in me. John 16 and 11. 16 and 11 reads, I'm going to start at the 15th verse. Of righteousness, I'll start at the 9th verse. Of sin, because they believe me not. I have to go to the 8th verse for it to make sense. And when he is come, he will reprove the world of sin, and of righteousness, and of judgment. Of sin, because they believe me not. Of righteousness, because I go to my Father, and you see me no more. And of judgment, because the prince of this world has been judged. So Christ is saying, he keeps referencing, this is his third reference to the prince of this world. Second Corinthians 4. 2 Corinthians 4, verse 4. And Satan, who is the god of this world, has blinded the minds of them that believe not, lest the light of the glorious gospel, the Messiah, who is the image of Ahayah, should shine unto them. So Satan has the world blinded and worshiping him, some unknowingly and some knowingly. And now I'm going to go to 1 John and read verses 19 through 20. I thought I had it bookmarked. Sorry, y'all. Okay, here it is. 1 John 5, verses 19 through 20. I'll start at verse 18. And we know that whosoever is born of Ahayah sins not, but he that is begotten of Ahayah keeps himself, and the wicked one will touch him not. And we know that we are the children of Ahayah, and the whole world lives in wickedness. And then verse 21 warns us to keep ourselves from idols. And so the whole world lives in wickedness. The whole world is following the following. There was one group of people that was chosen by the Most High himself, and they even turned their backs and started to worship the God of this world. And so they were given over to the God of this world. Now I'm looking at my notes, you all. And so yeah, I wanted to I put notes here because when I thought about Yahoo mail, right? When you look at the mail symbol, like that, you know, that envelope or that piece of mail, and if you look at the skirt or the garbs that the Freemasons wear, that the the symbol for the male is what the Freemasons wear. It goes back to that skirt that they wear, and I'll try and put an image of it in the description box. And also Gmail. That mail is the same symbol of that envelope, but it's a Freemasonic symbol. And the G, remember we discussed that before, that we know that the G in the middle of the Freemason compass stands for the Grand Architect. But if you look in the Freemason Bible, because they have their own Bible, in the Freemason Bible, it says that the G also stands for Gomer. And we know if we go to Genesis 10 and we see the division of the nations, we know that Gomer is the father of the Ashkenazi Jews, the people that are currently in the land that claim to be the children of the promise. Okay. And then if we go to Matthew 4:19, Satan, as he was tempting Yeshaya Christ, he asked him to bow down and worship him. He said, if you fall down and worship me, I'll give you, all of these things. I will give you all of these things. He took him up on a mountain and showed him the entire world. And not one time did Christ rebuke him or tell him that he was not the God of this world. Adam was the God of this world. Adam lost the world on default. He lost the world to Satan. And so, now that's where we are. That's where we are. He is the God of this world. So when most people decide that they've gotten tired and they want to give their life to God, the first God that they're going to encounter is going to be the God of this world. And you have to push past him and do a lot of seeking, praying, fasting in order to find the true God. And he said that those who seek me will find me. And it's only going to be a remnant. If you look up the word remnant, it literally means crumbs. Crumbs. We know that the whole world was destroyed and only 8 people were saved. So all these people are not going to heaven. It's going to be a remnant. And if you really think about the amount of people that are calling on these names, Yahoo and Yashu, compared to Ahayah, it's very, very few. And only by one name will we be saved. One name, he doesn't have all these names. All right, let me share. So this is the rabbi from Jewish Voice, Jonathan Bernis, that was just speaking to Benny Hinn about the name Yeshua. Now he says in his own mouth, we see in that video that he says Yeshua is a curse. It's a curse word. And but we see on his website, he talks about he's pushing his name, Yeshua. And then he's saying it means to rescue, to save, or to deliver, which is what Yasha means, not Yeshua. When you put that ooh, that double O sound or that U in there, that turns it into a wicked name. While I have it up, I just want to show you all. So remember I said that Jacob's name was not changed to Israel. Jacob's name was changed to Yashar. Yashar. That's where we get the book of Jasher from. The book of Jasher actually means Yashar. And that's what Jacob's name was turned into. So it says here, Yasha, this is the name doctor.com, but it says Yasha is rooted in Yaakov, which is where we get, Jacob from. This name derives from the Latin, I don't know how to pronounce that, from the ancient Greek, meaning supplanter, held by the heel grabber, leg puller. In turn, the name derives from the Hebrew root Yaakov, Yaakov, meaning to follow, to be behind, and it refers to the circumstances of Jacob's birth when he held on to the knee, to the heel of his older brother, twin brother Esau. So remember, Second Ezra has a verse that says Esau is the end of the world and Jacob is the beginning of it that follows, meaning that Esau is going to be ruling at the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of the new world, or his world and rulership comes afterwards. And that's what this name, the name Yasha or Yashar means. Yasha, save in ancient Hebrew. What is the original Hebrew picture of to save? And then we see the Yod, the Shem, and the Aleph, meaning to save, rescue, deliver, help, or avenge. You have the hand, the Yod, which is the hand or arm, meaning close, throw, actions, deed, work, worship, to make. Then you have the teeth, which are means sharp, devours, crush, eats, removes, and consumes like fire. He crushes our enemies. He is the all-consuming fire. He is the fire that burnt and that burning bush, but the bush was not consumed because the bush was in him. So if we are in him, no other fire can consume us. Um, because he is the all-consuming fire. And then the eye is to see, to know, to perceive, experience, watch, shade, save. That's Yeshua, not Yeshu. And then I just want to show you all this. This is kind of crazy. Oh, this is the same secret doctrine book by Blavatsky. And this book is very long. It's almost 1,500 pages. But I wanted to read this to you all. It says, brass was a metal symbolizing the netherworld, that of the womb where life should be given. The word for serpent was the Hebrew nakash, but this is the same term for brass. It is said in Numbers that the Jews complained of the wilderness where there was no water, after which the Lord sent fiery serpents to bite them. When to oblige Moses, he gives them as a remedy the brazen serpent on the pole, after which any man which beheld the serpent of brass lived. So see where it says here, brass was a metal that symbolized the netherworld. So why did they make it a brazen serpent? And then they turned around and said that Christ, when he appeared to John, that his countenance, that he looked like burnt brass. No, he was copper. He looked like burnt copper or a dark shade of copper, but not brass. Brass has always been symbolized with evil or the netherworld or Sheol. And the word for serpent in Hebrew is nakash. So we're going to just talk about that for a minute. So this is that word for serpent, or which means snake, and it has the gematria of 358. We must ask ourselves, why was the form of snake chosen? Why was not a cow or a donkey or a lion or a bear? The Hebrew word for snake is nakash. This is etymologically related to the word for copper, which is nikoshet, a shiny metal. So see, they didn't give us the copper, which that's what Christ actually looked like, and that's a positive word, but they gave us nakash, which means snake and brass, and it symbolizes the serpent. And it says the skin of the serpent is mesmerizing and the shiny scales are dazzling. But all that glitters is not gold. The old adage, all that glitters is not gold, fits nicely into this situation. This allure proved successful. Like the boa constrictor, the Satan solidified his grip upon the earth and dethroning Adam. This was the desire of the evil one to exalt himself as king, as the wisdom of Solomon says. Nevertheless, through the jealousy of the devil, death came into the world, and those that do hold of his side do find it. So you on his side, you're going to find death because he's the one that brought it into the world. But remember we talked about, so basically, so now I'm going to go to the hermeneutic library. When you all study proper hermeneutics, that's like when you break the scriptures down into those Hebrew roots, and you get the origin of what the scripture means. And even when you read the beginning and the end, the verses before, a lot of people are misled in these Christian churches because the pastor takes one sentence and builds a whole sermon around it. But if you study proper hermeneutics and you ask the who, what, when, where, why, and how questions, who was the author, who was the audience, what were they talking about, what time period, what happened before, what happened after, and you study the whole text and you're able to get the whole all the puzzle to the story, and you won't teach the wrong meanings as so many pastors do today. And some of them are actually intentionally, because they're Freemasons, they're intentionally leading the sheep to the slaughter. Their congregation is their offering to their God, to their power. But so I looked up 358 in the hermeneutics library or hermetic library. And once again, it talks about 358, meaning Nakash is the word for serpent in Genesis. So it means the brazen serpent. And then right here we see that it says that 358 means the Messiah or Redeemer. So this is how I tell you guys that they did a bait and switch. They did a bait and switch to have us calling upon the enemy when we think we're calling upon the true Christ. So when you say, a lot of people are coming into the truth and saying Yeshua HaMashiach, with Yeshua HaMashiach, you're actually calling on Yeshua is the Metatron, and HaMashiach means the brazen serpent. The word that they gave us for Messiah means the brazen serpent. So you're saying Yeshua HaMashiach means the Metatron, the brazen serpent. It's so much. It's so much. It's like we have to be rooted, and we just have to be rooted. That's all I can say. So also, there's a book. It says that the Metatron has 70 names. He has 70 different names. And so I tried to access that book as a download. I did find a PDF, but you had to have like a college library account in order to access the book if you didn't actually purchase it. And so I couldn't get in to get that book downloaded, but I was able to just start Googling the 70 names for the Metatron. And I'll show you all what I came up with. The Metatron has a list of 70 names, and I find that interesting because you remember during the Tower of Babel, there were 70 nations that had their languages changed, and the Most High scattered them and made them go into separate and go into the earth. So the Metatron has 70 different names, but we're going to go down. And I want to show you all one of them. Yahoo or Yahoo is one of his names, one of his many names. Also, the Shekinah glory, the light bearer. It's deep. So at this point, I am going to read one last thing before I close out. This is from Enoch, and that's another thing. they have like the second and the third Enoch, where these fake Enochs, they start referring to Enoch as the Metatron, or saying that after Enoch was caught up, that he was changed into the Metatron, in these later editions. But I want to show you all this, where this is the book of Enoch, chapter 73. The first verse reads, "And after this law, I saw another law with reference to the smaller luminary whose name is Moon, and her circuit is like the circuit of the heavens, and her chariot in which she rides is driven by the wind," or the air, "and in a measure light is given unto her. Every month her ascent and her descent is changed. Her days are like the days of the sun, and when her light is full, her light is the seventh part of the light of the sun, and thus she rises." So I just want to talk about, if we go down further, it says she sets with the sun. Um, if we read Genesis 1, Genesis 1 says that the Most High created two lights, one light to rule the day and a lesser light to rule the night. That the moon is a luminary. The moon is a being. The moon is not a rock like we're taught in school. We're we were forbidden to worship her. The moon is referred to as a female as well as a male, but we are forbidden to worship the moon, and also because her days are not we're even forbidden to base our calendar off of her, because because she changes every month. Her ascent and descent is changed. So there's even scripture that tells us, do not use her. If we use the moon, your calendar is going to be off, because every month she changes, but the sun is more consistent. So we're supposed to base our the times off of the lunar solar calendar, and not the based off the moon. And you have a lot of these people that are using these false names that are actually names for the moon god, Yah, um and Yahweh, and the Tetragrammaton. That's who this all goes back to. We have those people using those names and going off the calendar based off the moon, when we're forbidden to do that, because the Bible said that you will make an unholy day holy and profane the holy days by doing so. And also their feast days are aligning with the Jewish, the people. Our feast days should not be aligning with theirs, because they worship the luminaries. And it's just so much. I can't get into all of it, you all, but I'm going to, let me see if I have anything else. Yeah, so the moon is not a rock, you all. The moon is a being. It's a lesser light, a lesser luminary that we are forbidden to worship. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this video up. I pray that you all have a happy and blessed Sabbath, day of rest. And until the next video, Shabbat Shalom. Have a great day.